over the whole of Anatolia, 25% of the population dies. I mean, this is, it's the kind of thing I can say and I can't impress upon you enough. Well, I could actually, if I killed 1 in every 4 of you, that would do it. But you see the point. You see, what's going on here is tremendous destruction. Just to give you a feeling for it, this is Muslim losses. We could go into Christians in questions if you wanted to. But Western Anatolia, the area where the Greek invasion was, the province of Aydin, the province where it was worse in that area, and this is the eastern part of Anatolia, where Armenians, Greek, Turks, Kurds, Russians, and everybody else you can think of are busily killing each other. Look at this territory. Look at this. Eastern Anatolia is big. This is Van that I showed you before. Beatless. But the most interesting one to me is this one. Remember when people told you about how terrible World War I was in France? How it was horrible in the trenches? It was. And that's the percentage of population loss. That's it. Less than 1%. And this is what happened in Turkey. More than 25 times as bad as anything that happened in the West. And once again, we have to ask ourselves, why don't we know that? Another simple thing, kind of thing you don't think about. These are statistics, and we only have very limited statistics. This is the area of the Greek invasion. We don't have anything for these, but we have these. These are just dead animals. Not the kind of thing you think about. You don't think of war in terms of dead animals, but if you don't have animals, you don't have a farm. And if you don't have your donkeys, your mules, you don't have your sheep, you don't have those kinds of things. And all these things, when the Greeks left, were deliberately destroyed. Many of them, of course, died in the war. But when you leave a place, when you're defeated, you wipe out everything in your path or you take it with you. That's the tradition of warfare in that area, unfortunately. So this is what they ended up with. This is what the Turks had to do. And I'm not giving you all of these statistics by any means. If you look at things like olive trees, you don't think in terms of human loss in terms of olive trees. But indeed, when you chop down all the olive trees, what do people have? They have, maybe if they can get the seeds, another 50 years to get them going again, which is pretty much what happened. There's an olive oil industry coming back into Turkey after the Second World War. You had to go through all those years in between just to grow the trees. If you look at the world, an amazing thing about Turkey and Mustafa Kemal and what he did is just the simple factor that here's Turkey. And here, partially taken over by Europeans, is Iran, Thailand, Japan, which is a whole separate case, and the interior areas of China. Everything else is taken over by Western Europeans, or Europeans, I should say. Everything. Only those countries, Liberia, northern Yemen, these other territories, and Turkey, only those ones managed to escape. And Turkey escaped, even though it was tremendously desirable, even though, unlike Japan, it wasn't up way away from everybody in the North Pacific Ocean. It's right in the middle of things they managed to hold on. It's astonishing. It's astonishing to look at. And you have to spend a lot of time with Turks, especially you have to spend some time trying to deal with regular old Turkish soldiers, even today, to realize how they could triumph, how they could win, how they could survive. And that's because they're just the toughest guys in the world. The kind of people, you give them a gun and say, "Private, here's your foxhole. Get down in there, I'll be back in 6 months." And he's there. Maybe not alive, but he's still there in 6 months. I mean, he's holding out. They're incredible soldiers, but the whole population was incredible. Mustafa Kemal, once he comes in, because the time is unfortunately very limited, Mustafa Kemal becomes president of Turkey. He becomes president of Turkey, and he puts through policies that are, at the time, almost impossible to believe. He himself is from Salonika, which is today in Greece. Greece has taken over this territory in 1912, actually. And from then on, the Turks in that area are pretty well gone. Well, once the Greeks are defeated in Anatolia, the cry all over among the Turks is on to Salonika. Take that land back. fight against the Russians, go up there, take over the land, rebuild the Ottoman Empire. And he says, no, stop. He sets up a national policy called peace at home, peace abroad. Or in other words, look at what's happened to us because of all these wars. Look at the destruction, the death, and now you idiots want to carry it on? Forget it. And they say, but we're right and our cause is just. And he says, I don't care. You're still just as dead. So stop. Stay here. Be satisfied with what you have and rebuild Turkey. Which is what happened. The reforms that he puts through are fundamental and basic and ones that are hard even to comprehend. The language that people use, that people wrote in, was called Ottoman Turkish. And all those of us who had to spend years of our lives trying to learn this impossible language know why it was changed. For one thing, it doesn't fit Turkish. It doesn't fit the way Turks say things. For instance, the Turks have one H. The Arabs have three H's. And any of those H's is going to be pronounced. But to write it, you've got to know not how it sounds, but you've got to memorize which H they use. On the other hand, there are some characters in Arabic, like a K, look in Arabic called a kef, that could be a G, an N, or a K in Turkish. Which ones? And the answer is you only knew if you went through many, many years of schooling. So it was an elite sort of thing. But for the regular people, forget it. So what does he do? He changes it around. He changes it. Now imagine if I walked in here and told all of you that as of a month from now, you're all going to be writing with Arabic characters. Or even Cyrillic characters. Huh? How easy would it be to get away with that? He did. He told everybody that their clothes were all wrong. Now, really, there was nothing wrong with their clothes, but it's a symbol of the need to change. A symbol of the need to change. And very importantly, we'll forget about, European law codes, changing the old world. I don't have time to go into why that's really a big deal in Islam. But changing the law so that it's a secular law code as opposed to a religious one is a very, very big deal. But what I really want to stress to you is this. Female suffrage. Not too many years after America granted female suffrage, actually. Women voting. Not just voting, but Ataturk making sure, as the head of his party, making sure that he had women on the list to be elected to parliament. And many were. Making sure that he would create a system where ultimately Turkey even got a female prime minister. This, to my mind, is almost the height of civilization. As he himself, Ataturk, said, you can't really be civilized if half your people don't count. I don't think we have time for questions, right? So I will say thank you very much. And I'm sorry
Of course, we realize that we cannot put the history of Turkey in 15, 20 minutes. And we're so fortunate that Dr. McCarty is going to be with us for the rest of the day, this afternoon, and we will have a section on the history of Turkey and politics with him.
unless I fall asleep.
So, Dr. Staples, one picture with Dr. Staples and